Part 2. Morete is in his dwelling place and about to go to the human festivities in town. He cleans his nails on the back of the tree and he mutters to himself that Aroni has ostracized him. Ishoro grabs Morete's neck and warns him not to tell anyone that he has seen him. When he says, "Not a word to anyone that you saw me," and continues, "And don't forget that Ishoro does not forgive the sacrilegious." Ishoro simply makes us to understand through this pronouncement that he is vindictive and choleric. Ishoro asks Morete if that was the day of the welcoming of the dead, and the latter's answer is affirmative. And he says, "I know they have asked for conquerors, and Aroni has sent them accusers, knowing they will never welcome them." Ishoro is very upset that Aroni had not invited him to the welcome ceremony and tells Morete that he plans to turn it into a bloody massacre. He adds, "I'm telling you, today must be a day of reprisals. While they are guilt-glittered and full of themselves, that is the time. Aroni's little ceremony must be made into a blood massacre." Morete suggests that he goes to speak to Forest Head. Ishoro tells Morete that Aroni plans to let the mortals go after the ceremony and he is going to stop it. Ishoro is very angry that humans do not pay attention to the forest and the forest stinks of human obscenities. When Morete protests, Ishoro says, "Not by my hands. But if the humans always wreak havoc on their own heads, who are we to stop them?" Ishoro complains to Morete that of all the sons of the forest, he has suffered the greatest indignity at the hands of humans. When he says, "For stripped by the impious hands of the Moke," Ishoro reveals that he is upset about the totem that Demoke had carved in town, and from which his apprentice had fallen and died. He therefore exclaims, "My head was hacked off by his axe, and adds, my eyes that were gouged, and my roots disrespectfully made naked for the world." Morete is dismissive of Ishoro's anger, suggesting that he is being disrespectful to art itself, and the latter tries to strike him with a branch. Ishoro delivers a long and passionate monologue about how he will avenge the desecration of the tallest tree in the forest. In another part of the forest crier emerges, as well as several forest spirits. He involves the spirits and the inhabitants of the forest and calls on the entrance of Forest Father to unveil the Phantasmagoria from the dead. At the end point, Forest Head and Aroni enter. Forest Head and Aroni talk about their powers over 4 humans, and Aroni asked, "They had questions of you?" To which Forest Head replies, "Only certainly I threw hints to preserve their mystery and force them into an acceptance of my aloofness. It held them all except the woman." Aroni assures Forest Head that Ishoro will find them because he has left a trail for Ishoro to follow them. Forest Head is happy with such assurance and says, if the child needs a fright, then the mother must summon a witch. Excuse me. All of a sudden, Forest Head decides that they will go back 8 centuries memory lane to the court of Mata Caribou, leader of a great empire. After Aroni waves his hand in a circle, the stage is transformed into a court. The thrones of Mata Caribou and his queen, Madame Tortoise, appear. The king is angry and derisive why Madame Tortoise is cruel in a different manner. Nearby, the court poet and his scribe are seated. A warrior is brought in chains, and it is the dead man in his previous life. So the actions that take place now is a retrospection of what had happened to dead man and dead woman. Mata Caribou accuses him of having the audacity to think when he says, "It was you, slave. You it was who think." The warrior pleads guilty of thinking, but ends in sarcasm when he says, "I plead guilty to the possession of thought. I did not know that it was in me to exercise it until your majesty's inhuman commands." Mata Caribou slaps him, then removes his sword to behead him when physician interrupts and dissuades him from killing the warrior. Mata Caribou is angry with the captain because the captain refuses to carry out his order. And the question is, what is the order about? Mata Caribou is particularly angry when he says, "Madness, treachery, frauding insanity, traitor, do you dare to question my word?" The physician goes to the warrior to think of him as a friend, as he had saved him from the wrathful king twice before. The warrior confides in the physician that he does not believe in the war which is being fought on behalf of the queen. The physician insists that the war is not about a woman, but a matter of affair of honor. The warrior protests by saying, "Since when was it an honorable thing to steal the wife of our brother chieftain?" Despite the physician's defense of the king, the warrior insists that the king's actions do not reflect a desire to preside over a peaceful and good kingdom. When he says, "Is this the action of a ruler who values the peace of his subjects?" this statement hints that the king is corrupt, dictatorial, and incompetent. Unwilling to listen to the physician anymore, the warrior asks him to tell Mata Caribou that he had been mad before, but he has returned to his senses when he says, "You may tell the king that I was mad before, but now I am fully returned to my senses." He also tells the physician to tell Madame Tortoise that I will not fight her war. The physician tries to convince the warrior that he cannot choose the wars he has to fight, but the warrior believes that he is doing the right thing. The physician asks him, "You think you own your life? It's yours to dispose of?" And the warrior's response is, "I have the right to choose how I mean to die." The physician reveals that he is worried that the warrior has sown seeds of doubt among his fellow warriors, and it pleases the warrior to realize that he has the upper hand at the moment when he says, "Perhaps I have started a new disease that catches quickly." At the moment, the court historian, Adenebi in his former life, enters and tells the warrior that nations live by strength. Nothing else has meaning. He also tells Mata Caribou that nations thrive in bloodshed of war. When he says, "The cause is always the accident, your majesty, and war is the destiny." Mata Caribou complains that the warrior has taken 60 of his best warriors with him, as he insists that he is not a traitor. The historian launches into a monologue about the city of Troy to bring out the fact that the Trojan War was fought over Helen, a woman, and says, "History has always revealed that the soldier who will not fight has the blood of his slave in him." He also adds, "Patriots are grateful of wars. Soldiers have never questioned bloodshed." And the soothsayer Agboriko in his former life comes in to prophesy of great bloodshed and about the war in the future.